Hey everyone, I just wanted to look at the empirical rule. I had a few questions about that. So I thought I would just go through an example and see how this rule works. So the main things about this rule, I have this little handout here. 68% of the data will lie within one standard deviation of the mean, 95% between two, and 99.7% within three. So what that means is, if we have an example here, the mean speed of a sample of vehicles along a stretch of highway is 67 miles per hour with a standard deviation of 3. So what you do is you put the mean in the middle, because the mean is a representative value of the middle. And then notice what you do for the standard deviation. You add the standard deviation repeatedly as you go along. So 67 plus 3, 70 plus 3, 73 plus 3. And then on the other side, subtract. So minus 3, minus 3, minus 3. So when it says that first one, about 67% of the data lie within one standard deviation of the mean, that's this area right here, the blue area. One standard deviation means you add it and subtract it. And this is one standard deviation. So that area is 68% of the entire curve. So the entire curve is 100%. 68% is the blue area. For the next rule, 95 lie within two standard deviations of the mean. So that would be from here to here. That would be a 95% shaded region. So the blue and the beige. Notice what you're doing there. Two standard deviations is just adding standard deviation twice in one direction and subtracting it twice in the other. Okay, and then similar for that third rule. So we can look at these examples. Estimate the percent of vehicles whose speeds are between 64 and 70. Okay, well there's the 64 and there's the 70. That's the one standard deviation rule, one above, one below. So that would be 68%. I could just type that in. How about between 61 and 73? Okay, so adding 2, that puts me at 73. Subtracting 2 standard deviations, that puts me at 61. So that's 2 standard deviations in either direction, 95%. Right. Okay, it's getting harder. Let's see. How about between 58 and 76? Okay, 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2, 3 down. So that must be the 3 standard deviation rule, which is the 99.7%. Don't worry about where these percentages come from. We get to that later. It just seem like they're percentages out of the blue right now. Just kind of take them for what they are for right now. Okay, this one's a little tricky. How about between 61 and 70? 61 is 2 below. 70 is 1 above. Ooh, that's kind of mixing and matching these rules. What I would suggest is taking it in 2 parts. Okay. First, how about just between 61 and 70? 61 and 67. What is this shaded area? Okay. Notice if you went from 61 all the way to 73, that's part B, that's 95%. That's all 95. What we're looking at is half of that, and this is symmetric. So this little shaded region here is exactly half of 95. So my first step, I'm going to do 95 divided by 2. Right, that's that shaded region right there. Now, how about this part? That's the other part, between 67 and 70. That is half of the whole blue area, which is 68%. Right? So this area is half of 68 plus 68 divided by 2. Right? And what I'm doing is I'm adding those two together. So this first piece is that area. The second piece is this area. And that gives me the entire thing from 61 to 70. So now I just calculate these out. That's going to be, the first one is 47.5%. And the second one is 34%. Doing the divisions by 2, adding those together, 81.5%. Okay. So there's a way you can do it if it's kind of mixing and matching. Finally, I have one that's less than 61. That's this little area over here. And we're talking about less than 61 all the way down, right? So one thing you'll use here is that the entire curve is 100%. Now, I know from 61 to 73, that region, that's 95%. So my first step is I'm going to do 100 minus 95. And that's 5%. Now, what is that 5%? That is the two little tails combined. We don't want both. We just want the less than the 61 over here. And so since it's symmetric, those two are equal. So I can take that 5% and divide it by 2. Okay, so let's end that one there. Now I'm going to take 5 divided by 2, 2.5%, and there's my final answer. Okay, so there's one example with some different parts about that empirical rule. If it was a little crazy and confusing, hopefully that can help clear some things up. If you have any further questions, let me know. Okay, see you later.